If you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Nikola Tesla. What if I told you that everything you've been taught about manifesting, vision boards, affirmations, even hard work, is upside down? The universe doesn't respond to effort, it responds to a hidden signal pulsing from you every second. That's why some people chase for years and get nothing, while others seem to attract miracles with ease. In the next few minutes, you'll discover the forbidden key Thoth whispered only to initiates, the signal that bends reality itself. Stay with me, because once you hear this, you'll never look at your own thoughts and feelings the same way again. Most people imagine their lives are built on sheer effort, long nights, constant pushing, endless lists. Yet what if the real architect is something quieter? The Hermetic masters hinted that reality bends not to noise but to frequency. Every thought has a hum, every feeling a tone, and the world is nothing but an echo chamber replaying that hidden music. If that's true, isn't it strange that fear often manifests faster than hope? Think of it like tuning a radio. You can scream into the microphone, but if the dial is set to static, all you'll get is noise. In the same way, affirmations layered on top of anxiety are like singing off-key. The universe only hears the vibration beneath the words. I've seen people work tirelessly on projects, only to sabotage them because their station was set to doubt. Doesn't it make you wonder what station your own mind is broadcasting right now? Take a moment, close your eyes, inhale deeply, and notice the tone you're carrying. Is it heavy, rushed, uncertain? Or does it feel calm, expansive, light? That little exercise reveals more about your future than a dozen vision boards. Because reality isn't responding to what you post online, it's responding to what you hum silently when no one's watching. What would shift if you began treating vibration as the real prayer instead of the words themselves? There's a reason why people with the same resources create such different outcomes. One farmer plants seeds in fertile soil, another drops the same seeds on stone. The difference isn't effort but environment, and your inner frequency is that soil. When I worked with clients who shifted from fear to trust, their results multiplied, even though their actions stayed the same. So, if results depend more on vibration than sweat, doesn't it mean emotion itself carries the true command? Stay with me here, because this is where the Hermetic principle of mentalism comes alive. All is mind means reality is mind dressed in frequency, thoughts clothed in rhythm, feelings rippling into matter. You've probably felt it before, walking into a room heavy with tension, even before anyone speaks. That invisible signal guides outcomes far more than words. If you knew your feelings were writing your future, wouldn't you start guarding them like gold? And here's the twist, what you feel most often is already a prayer being answered. Gratitude opens doors faster than struggle, while fear builds walls even stronger than effort can break. It's not about ignoring action but infusing it with the right vibration first. In fact, the secret almost no one reveals is coming up next, how feelings themselves act as cosmic commands. Doesn't it make sense that if vibration is the signal, then emotion must be the language? If vibration is the signal, then feeling is the script carried inside it. Thought alone is like a spark without fuel, but emotion gives it fire. The Hermetic masters knew this long before modern psychology confirmed it. Whatever you feel most consistently becomes the soil where your reality grows. That's why two people can think of wealth, but only the one who feels rich inside sees it materialize. Isn't it striking how the universe always mirrors what's felt, not what's said? Take a look at your own life for a moment. When you've felt anxious for weeks, doesn't life seem to bring more reasons to worry? And when you've felt deeply grateful, even without a clear reason, small blessings start to appear out of nowhere? This is no coincidence, it's resonance. Napoleon Hill once wrote, "You become what you think and feel most of the time." But what if it's even sharper than that? You become what you feel, period. Try this now, breathe slowly, place a hand on your chest, and recall one moment of pure gratitude, something simple, like clean water or a kind smile. Stay with that feeling for just 10 seconds. Did you notice how your body shifts, how the breath eases? That single state is already broadcasting, already writing a new line into the script of your future. Doesn't that make you curious what could happen if you practiced it intentionally each day? This is why Thoth spoke of prayer not as words, but as vibration carried by the soul. Imagine two people praying for peace, one full of panic, one full of serenity. Which one is really communicating? The universe isn't a dictionary translating sentences, it's a mirror translating states. That means the true prayer isn't what leaves your lips, but what echoes from your heart. And if that's true, what hidden prayers have you been sending without realizing? The power here is subtle but relentless. Just as fear summons fear, joy summons joy. When I learned this, I stopped treating emotions like accidents and began treating them like tools. A single practice changed everything. Before starting any work, I'd pause and deliberately summon the feeling of completion. My energy shifted, my results followed. Doesn't it suggest that your inner climate, more than your outer effort, shapes the harvest you reap? And here's the bridge you've been waiting for. If feelings act as commands, then life itself is nothing but a mirror reflecting them back. Every struggle, every win, every silence is correspondence. In other words, the cosmos is holding up a mirror to show you the hidden signals you've sent. Wouldn't you want to discover how to read that mirror clearly? Life is not chaos, it's choreography. Every scene you walk through is a mirror reflecting an inner vibration you once carried. Thoth called this the great law of correspondence, as within, so without. Think about it, loneliness doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It echoes an old belief of unworthiness. Abundance isn't luck, it mirrors a state of trust. If reality is your mirror, doesn't it mean the world is simply showing you yourself? Look around right now. Your relationships, finances, even the energy of your home, they're mirrors of hidden vibrations that once went unnoticed. When someone says, "It's just fate," they miss the point. Fate is simply yesterday's frequency arriving at today's doorstep. It's not a punishment but feedback, like a report card from the cosmos. If life is already reflecting you, wouldn't it be wiser to study what it's showing instead of fighting it? Here's a practice you can try tonight. Write down 3 recurring challenges, maybe financial stress, conflicts, or health issues. Instead of asking, "Why me?" ask, "What inner state does this reflect?" If debt feels like scarcity, what thought keeps broadcasting lack? If illness keeps repeating, what inner disharmony is playing on loop? The answers are never comfortable, but they're liberating. And if mirrors are honest, isn't it empowering that you can change the reflection by shifting the source? I once worked with someone who always felt overlooked at work. Every promotion slipped past, every idea ignored. But when he recognized the mirror, he saw his own hidden belief, "I'm invisible." By changing that vibration, literally practicing presence and self-worth, the outer world shifted. Within months, he was leading a team. If one hidden belief could echo so loudly in his world, don't you wonder what echoes are shaping yours? Think of it like standing before a glass. You wouldn't argue with the reflection, you'd adjust your stance. Yet most people spend their whole lives yelling at the mirror of reality, hoping it will change without changing themselves. The Hermetic wisdom says the mirror doesn't lie, it simply reveals. Once you understand that, frustration turns into guidance. Wouldn't you prefer to see challenges not as curses but as coded messages from your own frequency? And here's where it gets fascinating. Once you accept the mirror, you unlock the next secret, the ability to live the end from the beginning. Instead of waiting for the reflection to change, you embody the new image first. The mirror must follow. That's the step the adepts guarded most carefully, and it's what we're stepping into next. Wouldn't you like to know how to live as if it's already done? Most people wait for proof before they believe. But Hermetic wisdom flips the script, belief comes first, and proof follows. Thoth whispered this to initiates: live the end now, before it arrives. Think about it, when you act, feel, and breathe as though your desire is already here, the subconscious can't tell the difference. It begins reorganizing your world to match the state you've already embodied. Isn't that a powerful twist on reality? Picture an actor rehearsing a role. They don't wait for the play to begin, they become the character long before opening night. Life works the same way. If you want abundance, you must wear it in your posture, your tone, your inner rhythm. This isn't fantasy, it's inner alchemy. Jesus himself taught, believe you have received, and it will be yours. If your subconscious obeys what you feel is real, why not rehearse the life you want instead of the life you fear? Try a short exercise with me. Close your eyes for 10 seconds. Imagine holding the keys to your new home, or hugging the partner you long for, or signing the book you've written. Let yourself feel it as real, the weight in your hand, the warmth in your chest, the smile on your face. Stay there. Did you notice how your body responded? That's not make-believe, that's a seed planted. Doesn't it make you curious what would happen if you practiced this nightly? I once knew a woman who practiced this faithfully. Every evening, she imagined her business thriving. Not the struggle, not the waiting, but the end, clients walking through the door, money flowing in, her heart at peace. Within a year, her reality matched her rehearsal almost line for line. She didn't push harder, she vibrated differently. If her life could shift so dramatically from living the end, what possibilities are waiting for you to step into now? The subconscious is like fertile soil, it doesn't question the seed you drop. Plant fear, and it grows weeds. Plant the end state, and it grows miracles. This is why so many people sabotage themselves. They plant doubt even as they affirm success. But the Hermetic path is ruthless in its clarity. You cannot vibrate in lack and expect abundance. So, what inner seeds have you been planting without noticing? And here's the real paradox. Living the end isn't about forcing outcomes. It's about surrendering to the truth that it's already done. The outer world will always lag behind, but the inner shift is immediate. That's why the next teaching is so crucial, the art of conscious surrender. If living the end is embodiment, surrender is trust. Don't you want to see how letting go can actually give you the highest control? Most people think surrender means giving up, lying passive, or letting life trample them. But Hermetic wisdom makes a sharp distinction. True surrender isn't weakness, it's alignment. Imagine rowing furiously upstream, exhausted and frustrated. Now imagine dropping the oars and letting the current carry you, not to nowhere, but exactly where the river is already flowing. Doesn't that image capture the difference between resistance and trust? An anxious mind thinks control is safety, but control often blocks the very flow it seeks. I've watched people chase opportunities so aggressively they suffocated them. Meanwhile, those who relaxed into trust allowed synchronicities to appear, phone calls at the right moment, doors opening without force. The principle of rhythm teaches us this: everything rises and falls, comes and goes. Wouldn't it be wiser to ride the rhythm than fight it? Here's a small practice. Inhale deeply, hold for 4 seconds, then exhale with a whisper. As you breathe out, imagine handing one burden, money, health, relationships, back to the current of life. Notice how the shoulders drop, how space opens in your chest. That feeling is surrender. You didn't stop caring, you stopped clutching. Isn't it fascinating how the simple act of releasing creates room for solutions to enter? A friend once told me she found love only when she stopped hunting for it. For years she forced dates, apps, expectations, only to meet frustration. But when she focused on enjoying herself, building her own joy, love appeared without struggle. That's surrender in action. It wasn't passivity, it was active trust. If even the most intimate desires align faster when released, what could that mean for the areas where you're still gripping tightly? The desperate mind sends signals of disbelief. I don't trust it will happen unless I force it. But the surrendered mind hums a different frequency. It's already taken care of. That shift changes everything. Suddenly, coincidences multiply, opportunities appear, intuition speaks louder. Isn't it intriguing that by giving up the illusion of control, you step into the highest form of power? And yet, surrender doesn't mean inaction. The Hermetic path always returns to balance. Action is still required, but aligned, flowing, not draining. That's where the next secret reveals itself, the difference between aligned action and effort that burns you out. Don't you want to see how one step taken in the right vibration outweighs 100 steps taken in fear? Not all action is created equal. Two people can take the same step, send the same email, walk into the same room, yet one opens doors while the other hits walls. Why? Because action is never just motion, it's vibration in motion. If the gesture is born from fear, it drains. If it springs from faith, it creates. Haven't you noticed how sometimes less effort, when aligned, produces more results than endless grinding? Think of a musician. One can play every note correctly yet leave you unmoved. Another hits a few notes and your whole chest vibrates. The difference isn't skill, it's resonance. Work is the same. You can clock hours, fill calendars, hustle endlessly, and still wonder why nothing changes. Or you can take one step, in certainty, and feel the momentum carry you. Isn't that proof that success is more about frequency than sheer force? Here's a simple experiment. Tomorrow, before doing any task, pause. Ask yourself, am I acting from fear or from clarity? If it's fear, fear of missing out, fear of failing, wait, breathe, recalibrate. But if it's clarity, take the step immediately. You'll notice how results arrive faster, smoother, with less resistance. Doesn't it make sense that aligned energy moves straighter than scattered energy? I've watched business owners burn themselves out chasing strategies. Calls, meetings, ads, courses, only to spiral into exhaustion. Then I've seen others, quieter, move with precision, one email, one introduction, one inspired decision, and their world shifted overnight. Same hours in the day, but one was draining, the other aligned. If alignment multiplies results, what would shift if you replaced 10 rushed actions with one centered action? The Hermetic principle of cause and effect explains it perfectly. It's not just what you do but the state you carry when you do it. Fear plants chaos, faith plants clarity. And the harvest always reflects the seed. This is why Hermetic alchemy insists that the true preparation happens inside. Doesn't it mean your inner work is the most strategic action of all? And here's the bridge. Once you see that action itself is alchemy, you realize every small choice is a seed shaping tomorrow. Micro choices, invisible to most, become the hidden levers of destiny. If even the smallest shift can reroute the spiral of time, don't you want to know how to plant them wisely? Big transformations don't begin with giant leaps, they begin with small, almost invisible choices. Every thought, every word, every emotion is like dropping a seed into sacred soil. Yesterday's seeds sprouted into the life you're walking through today, and today's seeds are quietly building tomorrow. Isn't it humbling to realize that the smallest inner shift can alter the spiral of your entire destiny? Think of the last time you chose resentment over forgiveness. That choice didn't just linger for a day, it sent ripples into your relationships, your energy, even your health. Now think of a time you chose gratitude in the middle of chaos. Suddenly, the whole atmosphere shifted. These micro-choices stack up like bricks, building the temple of your life. If every small choice echoes forward, what kind of temple are you constructing right now? Here's a practice you can try today. Pause before one decision, could be as simple as how you respond to a text. Notice the first impulse, then ask, does this come from fear or from trust? If it's fear, breathe, shift, then act. You'll be amazed how this tiny adjustment rewrites the outcome. Doesn't that suggest that mastering micro-choices is the real art of rewriting fate? I once knew a man who carried bitterness for years. One day, he chose, just once, to forgive silently. That micro-choice softened his energy, and soon after, old friends reappeared, opportunities opened, even his health improved. He didn't overhaul his life in a weekend, he shifted seed by seed. If one micro-choice can ripple that far, what waves could your next one create? The Hermetic principle of cause and effect reminds us, nothing happens by chance. Even your smallest inner posture has consequences. Imagine your mind as a garden, you don't need bulldozers, just consistent planting. Gratitude here, compassion there, trust tomorrow. Over time, the weeds thin, and a new landscape emerges. Isn't it inspiring to know you don't need to wait for massive change, only faithful small ones? And here's the secret no one tells you. These micro-choices aren't just habits, they're the raw material of imagination, the alchemical workshop where new realities are forged. If every tiny decision is a seed, then imagination is the greenhouse where you pre-grow the entire harvest. Don't you want to step into that hidden laboratory next? Imagination is often dismissed as child's play, but Hermetic wisdom says it's the true workshop of reality. Thoth called it the womb of creation, the invisible place where form takes shape before matter ever appears. Every cathedral, every invention, every new life path was once a flicker in someone's inner vision. If everything begins there, doesn't that mean your imagination is the most powerful tool you already own? Most people use imagination only to rehearse fears. They picture worst-case scenarios, failures, and disappointments, then wonder why life keeps echoing back the same script. But when you flip the use of imagination, it transforms into a sacred laboratory. A scientist doesn't just think, they experiment. In the same way, your mind is a lab where you test futures until one takes root. Doesn't it make you curious what futures you've been unconsciously rehearsing? Here's a practice to try. Before you sleep tonight, close your eyes and walk through your desired life in first person. See the walls of the home, feel the sunlight on your skin, hear the laughter around you. Make it so vivid your senses can't tell it's imagined. Stay with it for 20 seconds, then drift into sleep. The subconscious receives it as truth. If your body already reacts, doesn't that mean reality is starting to rearrange itself? I once met a painter who confessed she saw her exhibitions long before a single canvas was complete. She'd imagined the gallery, the conversations, even the smell of the room. Years later, when she stood in her first opening, she realized she'd already lived it dozens of times inside. That's the alchemy of imagination, it sets the blueprint, and life has no choice but to follow. What blueprints are you leaving rolled up in your inner workshop? The principle of mentalism makes it crystal clear. Mind is the architect, imagination the drawing board, emotion the ink. If you let fear ink the lines, the structure wobbles. But if you charge imagination with gratitude and certainty, the design becomes unshakable. Doesn't it mean the most important building project of your life happens in silence, not in stone? And here's where the wisdom deepens: imagination isn't just for the day. The night, the threshold before sleep, is the most fertile ground of all. That's why initiates treated bedtime as a ritual of creation. If the lab of imagination is open 24/7, don't you want to see how the night becomes your most powerful workshop? There's a secret doorway we all cross every night, yet few ever use it. Just before sleep, the conscious mind loosens its grip and the subconscious swings wide open. Thoth taught that this threshold is the richest soil for planting new realities. Imagine dropping seeds into the earth right before a warm rain. Whatever you plant in that moment grows strongest. Doesn't that make you wonder what seeds you've been letting in before drifting off? Most people fall asleep replaying worries, debts, arguments, or endless scrolling. Without realizing it, they're handing the subconscious a script to rehearse all night long. No wonder they wake up heavy, repeating the same struggles. But initiates did the opposite. They used the night as a sacred workshop. By entering sleep in gratitude, peace, or abundance, they wrote new codes into the dream. If your last thought writes the script, what story are you giving your night to perform? Try this simple practice tonight. Lie down, place a hand over your heart, and breathe slowly. As your body sinks into rest, visualize one scene of your desired life, a conversation, a victory, a moment of love. Don't just see it, feel it. Let gratitude or joy flood your body until it becomes the last vibration you carry into sleep. Doesn't it feel like giving your subconscious a compass instead of leaving it wandering? I once knew someone who practiced this for weeks. Every night, she imagined herself walking calmly into her new job. She rehearsed the office, the feeling of confidence, the relief of security. Within a month, the very scene unfolded almost frame by frame. The night had been her rehearsal hall. If your dreams are going to rehearse anyway, wouldn't you rather they practice the life you desire instead of the one you fear? The beauty of this ritual is its compounding effect. One night might feel subtle, but 30 nights stack into transformation. You begin to notice coincidences, new opportunities, even a shift in how people respond to you. The subconscious doesn't question, it obeys the last imprint you give it. And if that's true, wouldn't it be wise to guard your bedtime like a sacred ceremony? And yet, this nighttime practice is not the final key. Beyond shaping dreams, Hermetic wisdom points to something even more profound: the full transmutation of being. Not just creating events, but becoming an entirely new identity. Doesn't it make you want to see how inner alchemy turns a seeker into a sovereign? Hermetic teaching was never about piling up knowledge for its own sake. It pointed to something deeper: transmutation, the radical shift of identity itself. Just as alchemists sought to turn lead into gold, the initiate learns to turn fear into sovereignty, doubt into certainty, victimhood into creative authority. The metals were metaphors all along. Isn't it striking to realize the real gold was always your awakened self? Most people chase change by adding more habits, more affirmations, more effort. But true transmutation isn't about adding, it's about becoming different. When fear dissolves, what remains is not something new, but the truer self that was buried underneath. The emerald tablets whispered it clearly: mastery of self is mastery of destiny. If destiny shifts when you shift identity, doesn't that make inner work the highest form of power? Try this reflection. Recall one identity you've already shed. Maybe you were once the shy one, the broke one, or the overlooked one. At some point, that version died, and you never went back. That's transmutation. Notice how the outer world reorganized when you stopped carrying that identity? That same alchemy can be repeated consciously. If you've already transformed before, why doubt you can do it again? The 7 principles aren't just ideas, they're the furnace of this inner alchemy. Mentalism reminds you reality begins in mind. Vibration proves that state creates matter. Polarity shows that opposites are the same energy shifted. Rhythm teaches flow. Cause and effect explains why nothing is chance. Correspondence reveals every mirror. Gender whispers creation requires both seed and womb. When embodied, don't these principles feel less like philosophy and more like keys to your entire being? I once watched a man who lived in constant scarcity finally embody abundance, not by winning the lottery, but by transmuting his identity. He stopped saying, "I can't afford," and began moving as if wealth was natural. Within months, his life changed, opportunities came, people treated him differently, his energy magnetized results. It wasn't money first, then identity, it was identity first, then money. Doesn't that confirm the alchemy Thoth always guarded? And yet, even with this profound shift, the ancients insisted, practice must become daily. Without anchors, the old identity creeps back. That's why initiates were given 3 pillars to sustain mastery every single day. If transmutation is the fire, don't you want to see the exact practices that keep that fire alive? Transmutation isn't a one-time flash, it's a fire you have to tend daily. That's why the Hermetic path offers 3 pillars, practices simple enough to live but powerful enough to anchor your new identity. The first is thought awareness, guarding the gates of the mind. Every day, thousands of thoughts knock at your door, but not all deserve entry. If thoughts are seeds, isn't it wise to choose which ones you allow to root? Here's how to practice it. Notice one recurring fear today. Instead of feeding it, replace it with a phrase of faith, something like, "Life supports me," or "I walk in abundance." Say it gently but with feeling, as though you're watering a new seed. This isn't denial, it's gardening. Over time, you'll notice fewer weeds and more blossoms. Doesn't that hint at how one disciplined choice can reshape the entire garden of your mind? The second pillar is the nighttime ritual. We've already touched on how powerful the threshold of sleep is, but here it becomes your daily anchor. Each night, visualize one scene from your desired life and feel it as if already lived. Let it be the last vibration you carry into rest. The subconscious will rehearse it all night long. If every night is a rehearsal, wouldn't you want your dream self practicing the life you're building, not the one you're escaping? The third pillar is spiritual environment. Just like a plant thrives in sunlight and clean soil, your vibration depends on what surrounds you. Words, music, even the spaces you live in, they all feed or starve your frequency. Curate your environment, listen to uplifting music, place symbols of meaning where your eyes fall, spend time in spaces that calm your breath. Doesn't it make sense that if you're constantly absorbing signals, you should choose signals that elevate? Together, these 3 pillars, awareness, nighttime rituals, and environment, turn each day into a living act of creation. They're not chores, but keys. Every time you use them, you're aligning with the frequency that already carries your destiny. Over weeks and months, they hardwire the new identity until it becomes second nature. Isn't it exciting to know mastery doesn't come from grand gestures but from faithful daily alignment? And here's the loop that brings it all together. These practices aren't just about manifesting objects or experiences. They're about becoming the kind of being who doesn't need to chase, because reality flows to them. That's why the title of this video is no exaggeration. You can truly manifest anything in minutes when you align vibration, feeling, imagination, and daily mastery. But before we close, don't you want to hear the shocking truth in the opening hook that ties everything together? So now you've seen it, manifestation isn't about piling on more effort, it's about tuning the silent signal you've been sending all along. Every thought, every feeling, Every micro-choice is shaping the mirror of your reality. The question is no longer if you can manifest, but what frequency you're choosing to embody right now. Doesn't that provoke you to act differently today, not someday? If you truly want this shift, start small. Guard your thoughts like a gatekeeper, shape your nights as rituals, and curate an environment that sustains your vibration. You'll notice the spiral turning faster than you thought possible. And remember, consistency is the alchemy that makes the unseen visible. So, what will you broadcast tonight? I want to hear from you, one word only. Comment below with the signal you choose to embody: abundance, peace, freedom, or whatever your soul craves. And if this message stirred something in you, make sure you subscribe, turn on the bell, and like this video so this wisdom keeps finding its way to you. Share it with someone who's ready to remember who they are. This journey doesn't end here. The next video waiting for you on the end screen will take you even deeper into Hermetic codes most people never hear about. Click it, and keep walking the path. Because once you've remembered this truth, there's no going back. You've already begun the transmutation.